Good morning. Good morning. So today I want to cover icing and injury. There's a couple of little tips that are really important whenever you're using ice. I was in the clinic this week and I mentioned to one of my patients that they could use ice, and they gave me a funny face. So this is really common because most of us have overused ice. And when you overuse ice, it doesn't feel good. We all understand the concept that we should ice it, but there's a really specific way to ice an injury. So um, one of the big things if you're icing is to use an ice pack or use ice cubes in a towel. Um, One of the things I like to do is freeze ice in little paper cups like this because you can be more specific. It's not very messy. It's a good little tip. Um, and peas and corn is not the same. So ice radiates cool, and peas and corn have this little pocket of warmth around them. So you're not getting an even temperature, and you're not getting the cool that you need. So that's tip number one. Number two, if you have an injury in the first couple of days, icing is really recommended. Um, the big thing about ice is that you only want to use it for 5 minutes maximum. If you feel that it's cold and you're feeling the cold, you've done it for too long. So what is that mechanism? If it's near a bone, actually, it's even a little bit less, right? So those are all good things to take into consideration. So you want to ice for 5 minutes and then take it off and rest 5 minutes. If you can do this 3 times in a row, what it does is it cools the tissue, and then it cools the tissue, and then it cools the tissue again without the body's natural protective mechanism coming in, right? So if the body thinks like, oh my goodness, we're freezing, it's going to protect itself, and it's going to send all kinds of blood to that area. That is going to increase the pain in the area. So that's kind of how it works. Another really cool part of the icing is that we kind of get to do it without it really being like hard on our body, right? So hydrotherapy is super useful at all stages of injury. So after a couple of days, it doesn't hurt as much, maybe it doesn't ache as much. That's when you can start to add in warm and cool. So initially, the body's response to an injury is to send all kinds of metabolites to the area, and it starts to swell, and that's a protective mechanism. There's all kinds of mechanisms happening in your body to ice freeze and isolate that area. And the ice is going to help the body not to be too excited about that, right? Like we can overdo things really easily, and so can the body. So the ice is just going to manage that response. After a couple of days, you can use warm and cool. So you're going to cool down and send the blood away from the area. And then the warmth is going to bring new, fresh blood to the area. And you can do this for a couple of days. You can repeat it a couple of times. Warm for 5 minutes, cool for 5 minutes, warm for 5 minutes, cool for 5 minutes. And it's best if you can do that a couple of times a day. So after a couple of weeks, let's say 2 weeks, maybe it's not completely better, you could go see a massage therapist or a physiotherapist, or you can start to use a little bit of heat. So heat is going to, for more of a chronic injury, heat is going to draw all of the nutrient-rich blood into the area, and that's going to help with the healing, help with the repair, help with the remodeling. Now, for me personally, all along the way, movement is key. So motion is lotion. In those first couple of days, it doesn't really feel good to move. Just listen to your body. But after that, just some gentle range of motion, even like not quite a stretch, just kind of in the middle where it feels like you're not really doing anything, that can be really nourishing for the area. The succussive action of the movement is going to help to move those metabolites out of the fibers and out of the joints and ligaments and muscles. So those are my tips on icing, and I hope you have a glorious day.